Clay Shirky, and he just gave a great talk about exploding media. Clay, tell me about your new book.
It's called Here Comes Everybody. And the thesis is that we're going from a world where media is mainly to inform to a world where media is actually a site where people can share and collaborate together and ultimately take action together. So the thing I'm looking at is, what are the characteristics that media takes on when it becomes a social medium, not just a broadcast medium?
Right. Now, a lot's been written about social media and the idea of social networking and stuff like that, but you're talking about something a little different. It's action kind of thing.
Well, I'm actually trying to extrapolate from the older work. So part of the book is really taking that and trying to create a theory of what's happened with social media already. So there's a sort of ladder of it's easy to share things, as we know from Napster and YouTube. We even have examples where a bunch of people come together and build things together, like Linux or Wikipedia. But what I think the next story is, the coming story, is this ability of people to actually take action together in the world. Sometimes political action, sometimes economic action, but to take action as a group, not just as individual atomized consumers.
Right. What do you think what does that do to mainstream media in that case?
Well, it does two things to mainstream media depending on how they react. Right? Mainstream media is still an essential part of the ecosystem. And if they understand that they're part of an ecosystem and open up to new kinds of participation and understand that part of what they're doing is they're helping people, they're helping coordinate action, I think they'll thrive. To the degree that they say, oh, again this year we wish this internet thing would go away.
Yeah, they say that a lot.
Yeah, we're tired of hearing that people want to do things once we give them information. They're increasingly going to be viewed as sources of information, but not as an integral part of the media ecosystem. And that's, I think, a big risk. So some companies will do well, some companies not so well.
So some of the points they were making today is a lot of times when people do interact, it's for stupid things, and sometimes it's for useful things.
Right.
But a lot of it is kind of frivolous in a lot of ways. Do you find that, or do you think it's just part of
No, absolutely. I mean, of course, when you open up new capability, then the average quality decreases. But that happened with the printing press. Prior to the printing press, the only written works that were obsessively copied were by Plato, Aristotle, copies of the Bible.
And by monks.
And they were copied by monks. Once the printing press came along, the quality of the average book actually fell because now lots of people could be writers. So this is the absolutely normal pattern in media. The way you get out of that is if the increase in abundance is so enormous that the absolute amount of good stuff increases. And that's what I think is happening today. It's become, we're living through the largest increase in expressive capability in the history of the human race.
And what tool do you think is most important in that regard? Text, video, photos?
You know, I would have a hard time saying most important. Each of them obviously is an essential part of the way the users are going to behave, are going to take on this media. What I think is really important is whatever the tool is, you start not with a lot of features, but with ease of use, right? Make a simple thing easy to do, and then you can add the features afterwards. So in a way, users gravitate towards things not because this is the kind of media I was thinking about, but rather, hey, here's a cool new thing I can do, right? People didn't think about uploading photos really and sharing them before Flickr. They made that easy, and then it built a whole range of services around it.
Right. So in terms of things that are overhyped at this point, do you think any of it is, or is it all?
Sure. No, absolutely it's overhyped. And I think one of the things that's overhyped is the age-old fight between journalism and bloggers.
I agree.
Right?
You agree.
Right.
I'm trying to bring them together, you know.
Yeah. No,
I'm from the mainstream media, and I've entered the island of blogger.
Right, I know. No, there are people who get it, but in a way, a number of people have a stake in preserving the illusion of that fight so they can stage sort of boxing matches at conferences. But in fact, anything that happens to media happens to everybody who creates media because it changes their environment. So the idea that there is this separable world of mainstream media and amateur media is ridiculous on its face.
I'd agree.
And we need to retire it.
Bill Keller at the New York Times recently sort of raised that canard.
Yeah. No,
Bill was wrong.
No, it's really, people like it, particularly if they're in a defensive mood or if, they're in a rabble-rousing mood, but neither the most offensive nor the most rabble-rousing professional and amateur media people have it right? It's really about some kind of fusion. When a new medium comes along that does something better than the old medium.
If you were running a newspaper or a TV network, what would you do? What would be the one thing you would absolutely do?
What I would do is I would say, I'd start with the proposition that every URL is a potential community, which is to say every time a group of people goes and looks at the same thing at the same time, they might want to be introduced to one another, they might want to add their voice, they might want to take action together. And I would look for all of the ways that I could extend the media I was producing into not just the brains of the users, but into the lives of the users.
Excellent. Clay, what's the name of the book? Flack it, baby.
It's called Here Comes Everybody, and it's about the power of organizing without organization.
Is that the subtitle?
That is the subtitle.
The power of organizing without organizing.
The power of organizing without organizations.
I see. Excellent. Clay Shirky, thanks a lot. And when does it come out?
Thank you.
Tell the people.
I'm sorry, it comes out March 3rd.
And they can get it on Amazon.
They can get it on Amazon.
Okay, great. Clay, thanks a lot.
Thank you.